Hi, this is Sean from the channel Wolf Dog Moon, and today we're going to be looking at one of my favorite settings from Dungeons and Dragons, and just a brief discussion on my history of playing role-playing games growing up, back in middle school and high school and during college, and then a little bit here and there after that. But I just wanted to take you on a little journey. We can do a little review of the Forgotten Realms campaign setting box set. If you like this kind of content, please do give us a like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss our next upload, and also start a discussion in the comments and let us know your memorable moments from playing Dungeons and Dragons, and we can create a community around that discussion, and we can all share all the amazing moments and epic battles and dragons we've faced in the past. And hopefully on this channel, maybe we can do some kind of campaign. I'll take my kids and we can roll up some characters and do a short adventure and post it to the channel. But in the meantime, just wanted to give you a glimpse into one of my favorite settings from back in the day. This was for the second edition Dungeons and Dragons edition, and this was the Forgotten Realms campaign setting. And I'll just, in a second, I'll take you in for a closer look on the contents of this. But I'm just going to move this over to the side. Give me 1 second. Here's the second edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook. And this is the version of Dungeons & Dragons that I grew up playing. The second edition, with some of its faults, like the THAC0 and some of the weirder non-weapon proficiencies, which I actually liked because I thought it kind of rounded out the characters and made each character unique. But they were a little bit less balanced than some of the newer editions, like third edition. But this still is probably one of my favorite editions to come out, just because it allows for so much openness in terms of the flexibility of the rules. But I just wanted to give you a little peek at the edition that I'm using and that goes along with this box set. And then here's, just wanted to give you another glimpse of another book that I have. That's another one of my all-time favorites. I picked this up relatively inexpensively from a store called Half Price Books near where I live. And this is called Forgotten Realms Adventures. Now, first of all, I love this illustration. It's definitely one of my favorites to have come out for the original Forgotten Realms setting. But this is an amazing book just by itself, because it gives you a brief overview of some of what had, I think, originally appeared in Dragon magazine back in the day, and they compiled it into this book. So this is a compilation, a curation of some Dragon magazine elements, like some new, this explains the wild magic. It also adds some new rules for cavaliers, rangers, paladins, and fighters, and then wizards and barbarians, and then some of the other classes as well. So it gives you some new options. But it also has, let's see, the wild magic concept, which we never used, but I still like to read about it in this Adventures compilation. So briefly, this just has additional spells, additional specialty stuff for priests, and but let me move ahead. What I really like about this one is it goes through, like here we got Arabelle. It goes through the different cities of the Heartlands of Forgotten Realms of Faerun. So it gives you just a brief overview of each and some of the trade routes and stuff. And it gives you maps of each of the different cities, and then just important people. But what I like is it's loose. It's not, it just gives you kind of the cliff notes, just like a brief overview of each of the major areas that you'll traverse, along with some of the great maps and stuff, and then symbols. And but just wanted to show you that briefly, just for context. Alright, now let me take you through the contents of this campaign setting, and let's just open this up. Bear with me for a second. But inside you originally got great stuff. You got Shadowdale. Now Elminster, he's an important character. He's kind of like a Gandalf type character that is meant to guide the players and show up to provide details on quests or different. He was meant to be kind of the foundation of the campaign setting and the different places that you would travel and the characters that you would meet. So he would provide maybe quests. He would provide other information if you couldn't get, if you were on a certain quest and you needed a certain item or a magic item or something. That's what this character was meant to do. And then it came, so let's move this over so I can put these out. But it comes with this Running the Realms book, which is pretty awesome too. So it gives you a brief advice on how to do things in this campaign setting. For new players, it walks you through all the different encounters you can have. Again, the wild magic regions, dead magic regions, which I thought was a very interesting kind of game mechanic to make it challenging, and you're not sure what's going to happen if you cast a spell in those dead areas, wild magic areas. It could make the spell act in ways that it wasn't intended to do. So I thought that was interesting about this. So you got kind of news of the realms, almost like modern day news, to know what's happening and the different areas. So this is really cool. I highly recommend this box set if you could ever get your hands on it. Again, I picked it up at a used bookstore called Half Price Books, and it wasn't too expensive, and it collects everything for you, and it's presented in a way that really assists the Dungeon Master, but also the players, to really get immersed in this fictional world and to get the most out of it. So we have the Shadowdale, which is a specific town where you'll start out as a player, and the intention is for you to really get to know the different people in that community, whether it's the blacksmith or different NPC characters that are going to be a permanent fixture in this campaign setting. So you have Shadowdale. Let me see if I can flip just briefly through. So it has, let's see here. So it's got actual characters that you'll meet, and some of the nobility, the ruling structure. You have guilds, You have the different villains that you'll face, and it really gives you a lot of content to build your version of Faerun and your version for your players, and also for the players to really get immersed and feel like this is a real world that they're interacting with. But it has great maps and, you know, the temples that you would go to. So, and then also there's actual adventures in these too. So we got these two books, and then another book that's in here is this one. And all of these have fantastic artwork on them. So here we got Drizzt Do'Urden, or a random dark elf, but to me this is Drizzt Do'Urden. And so we got a grand tour of the realms. So it does exactly what it says. It really takes you through the setting and allows you to learn about the different races of this setting, like the dwarves and elves, and also the different, it details the currency, trade routes. It goes through and gives specific details on enemy types and enemies that you'll face. And then more maps of the cities, specific keys. So this, similar to the other book, the adventure book I show you, this has some of that content, I believe, in here. And then just to wrap this video up so it's not too long, this box set also came with, oh, Myra just made an appearance, chinking her collar. Say hi, Myra. Maybe she wants to play some D&D too. So here we got excellent maps that came with this box set. You got excellent maps of different areas for the characters to traverse. This one's the Sword Coast. And then we got the Sea of Swords area. So we got more. This one's a bigger close-up map. So we got fantastic maps. This is a fantastic product. I don't know what they put out nowadays. I just have the books, some of the 5th edition books. But I like how modular this original 2nd edition was. You definitely had to use house rules. But once you did, and once you corrected the THAC0, if you just used more of the modern, everything ascending for for the armor class and all that, instead of using descending, and instead of using if you just incorporate the 5th edition or even the 3rd edition way and remove the THAC0, I think you have a really good system. And these older, I was able to pick these up relatively inexpensive, the 2nd edition. And again, it's like when I was growing up, this is what we used. But this also comes with these illustrations for the different guilds and the different priesthoods and temples and stuff, and more of the symbols. So you got runes and stuff. It's on the back. Okay, so yeah, it's got the different, and you can, looks like you can cut these out and turn them into cards, and you might be able to hand these to the players. So this is a very neat addition. And then here we got more of the, I believe, guilds. So holy symbols and different icons that they use for the different religions that are in the fictional religions that are in this setting. And then more of these symbols were provided on nice cardstock. And then what's cool is they gave you, let me see if I can move these out of the way. they gave you these hexagon things, which are cool when you're trying to map length of time and distance and stuff. So they provided some of these. Get that upside down. So a couple of these to use that you can lay over the maps to know how far you're traveling. So then just more maps. But even if you don't play Dungeons and Dragons, maybe if you're an author or something, and you're an aspiring author and you write your own stories, and you want to get some just starting points for ideas, and then you can change them and make them your own and add and, you know, bring in your own characters and stuff and create your own version. It's all about using your imagination and creating your own setting out of something like this. But as far as for Dungeons and Dragons, this was an amazing package. I believe this came out back in 1993, and so you get so much content in this box set that it's a can't miss. So if you're a collector of Dungeons and Dragons, I highly recommend trying to get your hands on this, and even running this old 2nd edition version. 5th edition, one of the things that is sort of a good thing and a bad thing about it for the 5th edition is that the characters and the way it has like a homogeneousness to it, where each characters have these other special moves and special abilities outside of their character class. And I think sometimes that it feels a little more video gamey than the original Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and the Red Box Dungeons and Dragons, and then also the 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons. Feels much more like, okay, if you're a wizard, you're going to start out very weak, and you have to be much more tactical, much more intelligent in how you make your choices. And whereas if you contrast to that to the 5th edition, you know, the wizard character class, or the mage, or whatever they call it, has these other abilities and stuff and things to do. And whereas it was a little more hardcore back in these days, where if, you know, the fighters were fighting, and then the wizards and the mages and even the priest had to be much more tactical and much more intellectual in their in what decisions they made and when they used their magic and whatnot. But I highly recommend picking up this box set. In a second, I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, just wanted to give you my final thoughts. This Forgotten Realms box set is amazing, and if you can get your hands on this, maybe you can find it at a yard sale or on Amazon or Etsy or just or online somewhere, or you can go to maybe Goodwill and just keep an eye out. But highly recommend picking this up, and it's great for the nostalgia. It's also great to get a feel for when the Forgotten Realms was more in its infancy and really, you know, growing in, you know, before it grew into what it is nowadays. And this was before some of the events, like I believe the Sundering and some of those events. So this will take you back more towards the beginning. But this is an excellent box set. It's so amazing, and you could just spend years on this campaign setting with your players as a dungeon master, and the players would just be loving it and growing their characters and leveling up and going on these memorable adventures. When my brother was the dungeon master, and initially we just did our own setting for the longest time, but as I started to read like the Crystal Shard, the books by R.A. Salvatore, and the Dark Elf trilogy and stuff, the Forgotten Realms ended up being a good option to sometimes play to have a setting that is more of a shared setting with people outside of your own group that you play with, and also to be able to be immersed in that same setting like that the Dark Elf trilogy takes place in. So again, I would highly recommend picking this up, and I think you'll have a great time. Again, if you like this kind of content, just let us know, and please do comment and like and share and subscribe and ring the bell, and we would greatly appreciate that. It helps us grow this channel. So I hope this video finds you having an amazing day, and I hope you have a blessed day. Signing out.